Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's presentation on home energy improvements and electric vehicle tax credits with the Nevada Clean Energy Fund. My name is Olivia Burns. I am an environmental specialist with Clark County's Office of Sustainability. Joining us today is Kirsten Stacio, CEO of the Nevada Clean Energy Fund, which serves as Nevada's Green Bank, provides financial and technical assistance to support a thriving, affordable, and accessible clean energy economy. Before I pass it over to Kirsten to share how we could take advantage of these financial benefits and other exciting news, such as their Solar for All grant, I'm going to go over a few tips to enhance your presentation experience. Firstly, you can translate the entire meeting page and/or the live audio into another language by clicking the Translate button and selecting a language from the Translate drop-down menu. Closed captions are also available for this presentation by clicking the CC button on the bottom right corner of the presentation page. Viewers may call in to hear audio, text and comments, or leave a voicemail by dialing the 855 number located just above the presentation page. Another way to interact is by putting comments and questions in the chat box next to the presentation live stream. If you think of a question during the presentation, please put them there and we have time to review those at the end. This presentation is being recorded and will be available on the allinclarkcounty.com website and YouTube channel afterwards. Lastly, if you have any difficulties viewing or hearing the presentation, please refresh the meeting page. Now I'll pass it over to Kirsten to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olivia, and thank you to All in Clark County for hosting me today. My name's Kirsten, and I lead the Nevada Clean Energy Fund, which is a nonprofit organization, and I will talk a little bit more about what we do during the presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. Olivia, can you see this okay?
Yes, looks great.
Okay, awesome. All right, so today I'm going to talk to you about some of the measures that you can take with your vehicle choice and in your home, and how you can do that by accessing tax credits, rebates, and other financing resources available to you to make it happen. There we go. So first, I'll start with a little bit of background on the Nevada Clean Energy Fund, or NCEF. NCEF is focused on helping Nevadans like yourselves implement clean energy measures in your lives by providing financing and technical assistance. And we do this because we want to help you access the benefits involved, like bringing down your energy costs and living in a healthier environment and climate. NCEF administers programs to a variety of different stakeholders, including residents, multifamily affordable housing properties, commercial buildings, vehicle fleet owners, tribes, schools, and many others in Nevada. And we provide support for a wide range of clean energy measures, everything from solar to building efficiency and electrification and clean vehicles. Like I said, really appreciate All in Clark County hosting these webinars. Also, related to our vehicle fleet work that we do, I want to give a shout out to Southern Nevada Clean Cities, which is another initiative led by Clark County with a vision of driving Southern Nevada forward as a leader in clean transportation. And I have the pleasure of serving on the Southern Nevada Clean Cities Advisory Board. They have some good resources on their website as well. All right, so let's talk about incentives that are available. As many of you are likely aware, the federal government is currently making hundreds of billions of dollars available for clean energy and climate solutions, which is truly an unprecedented and historic investment, the likes of which we've never really seen before. And this is thanks really to two recent federal laws, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, also known as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act. So today I'm going to be talking to you about how you can access these unprecedented federal funds. Many of these funds are going to become available to you in the form of rebates, which I'll talk about, But the bulk of the funds are actually available in the form of tax incentives or a credit on your tax bill. So that's why a lot of the conversation today is going to focus on federal tax credits, which is, the green wedges of this pie chart. I'm also going to be referencing forthcoming Solar for All programs in Nevada. We're really excited. Olivia referenced it last month. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency announced that NSEF was selected for $156 million Solar for All award to support solar programs in Nevada that benefit low-income households. So over the coming year, we're going to be rolling out low-income solar programs that benefit that provide rebates and financing for single family homes, for affordable multifamily housing, as well as for community solar projects. So before we jump in to talking about specific measures and incentives, I want to flag that the Nevada Clean Energy Fund's website has many, many resources to help you navigate these residential clean energy opportunities. And maybe I'll just share my screen briefly to show you what some of these resources are that are on our website. So today we're talking about residential measures. This is our homepage. If you go to the residence page, we have what we call a residential energy upgrade program, or REUP, that connects Nevada residents with financial and technical assistance for clean energy measures. And if you scroll down, you can see all the different resources that are available to you. We've got a federal incentives page where you can look at one-pagers that dive into the federal tax credits, the federal rebates. You can sign up to get updates about our Solar for All programs. We, also link to NV Energy's website that includes incentives and rebates for energy efficiency measures as well. Really important related to our work in solar, we have a lot of information about your rights as a consumer when it comes to rooftop solar and working with rooftop solar contractors, really to help protect yourself against predatory practices. We also have a vetted contractor network where we vet contractors. We make sure that clean energy contractors, we make sure they have their license, that they have a good history of performance in their industry, that they have their insurance, et cetera. So if you're looking for contractors, this is a good resource here. And then we also provide financing as well to help bridge the gap where tax credits and other incentives might fall short in covering the cost of a clean energy measure. We also recently launched, in partnership with Rewiring America, a Nevada-specific incentive calculator tool, where if you put in your information, you can see what federal and local utility incentives are available to you. All right. So definitely check out our website. I'm going to walk through a lot of the resources, walk you through some of the specific measures, tax credits, and other incentives that are available to you. Of course, I have to start with the usual disclaimer that the following is not tax, legal, or investment advice. So you should really consult a tax, legal, or investment professional if that's available to you, or just make sure that you consult the federal, state, or utility guidance for additional information. Okay, so one of the main reasons why the Nevada Clean Energy Fund is focused on clean energy is to help reduce energy cost burdens. We know that energy cost burdens can be significant for both residents as well as businesses, nonprofit schools, et cetera. And as we're all painfully aware, energy costs have increased significantly in the past several years, increasing these energy cost burdens. But clean energy measures can really help reduce those energy costs. The most cost competitive energy resources today are typically the cleanest: renewable energy, energy efficiency, and electric vehicles, even on an unsubsidized basis. But the challenge that the Nevada Clean Energy Fund is focused on addressing is that these clean energy opportunities often get left on the table either because of a lack of awareness or technical know-how about the best measures to pursue or the incentives available, or a lack of access to capital to invest in those better alternatives and realize those cost savings. So one big takeaway I hope you have from my presentation today is that many of these measures are cost effective even without subsidies or incentives. And but those incentives that are available that to you today can help make those investments even more attractive. All right. Okay, so there are a variety of clean energy tax credits available to individuals. You can get a tax credit for everything from putting new insulation on your home to installing rooftop solar to purchasing a new electric vehicle and an EV charger. And these tax credits, they're available today. You can take advantage of them now. In fact, if you have installed any of these measures this year, you might be eligible for these tax credits this upcoming tax filing season. You generally need to have taxable income in order to take advantage of these tax credits, but there are a few exceptions to this, like with the electric vehicle or EV tax credits, where you now have the option of transferring it to the dealer in order to monetize it. And in the case of rooftop solar, there is a potential to enter into a solar lease or PPA option that can allow you to access those benefits by working with a third party lease or PPA provider if you don't have that tax liability. So I want to first do a deep dive on the EV tax credits, and then we can circle back to the home energy upgrade tax credits and other rebates that are available. And I'll start with a little bit of context on EVs and the unsubsidized economics, because a big motivator for a vehicle owner to buy an EV might be the economic benefits. EVs can yield fuel cost savings of up to 80% compared to a typical gasoline car. The average cost per gallon equivalent, as you saw on a prior slide, of using electricity to power your car is about $1.50 on average in the US. Nevada's electricity costs are even lower than the national average, so even more attractive in Nevada. But regardless, you know, $1.50 is significantly less than what we pay at the pump today for gasoline. EVs also require significantly less maintenance and upkeep than most car owners are used to because there are far less moving parts. You don't have an engine, you have a simplified transmission, you've got regen braking, so you don't have to replace your brakes as much if you take advantage of that regenerative braking. Another potential motivation for buying an EV are the health and climate benefits involved. Often, you know, we hear concerns and a myth perpetuated that EVs are worse from an environmental and climate perspective than gasoline because of the upstream manufacturing, but that's simply not the case. EVs, they don't have tailpipe emissions, which means cleaner air for communities that these vehicles are driving through and a reduction in the associated health impacts like asthma and heart disease. And from a climate standpoint, what the table on the left is showing you, the chart on the left is that EVs, they emit less than half of the greenhouse gas emissions than a typical gasoline car over its entire life cycle, which includes upstream manufacturing of the vehicle itself. And those EV emissions are going to continue to decline as renewable energy resources continue to grow in our electricity mix. So because of these economic, health and climate benefits, we've seen EV adoption really explode in the US and worldwide. Today, EV sales make up about 7% of US passenger vehicle sales, and that's growing rapidly. Forecasts from McKinsey, Bloomberg, and others anticipate that EVs are going to make up over 50% of passenger vehicle sales worldwide by 2030, which is really just around the corner. And pretty much every major vehicle manufacturer has one or more EV offerings. So let's take a look at some illustrative economics for a few different vehicle types. This table here, it shows a cost comparison of the MSRP, the sales price, and the annual fuel and maintenance costs of a Honda Accord gasoline car versus a Hyundai Kona EV. And this is all on an unsubsidized basis. So they don't account for the tax credits that are available. But you can see that the base MSRP for the EV is higher than the Honda Accord by about $5,600. But the EV achieves annual vehicle and maintenance cost savings of $2,250, resulting in a payback of less than 3 years. I want to make a couple of notes here that are important to understand when thinking about the cost of a gasoline car versus an EV. Fuel and maintenance costs are highly dependent on the number of miles driven. So more miles means more savings for the electric vehicle. But for these economic examples I'm showing you, I assume about 12,000 miles driven per year, which is about 33 miles per day on average, which is actually less than the average passenger vehicle travels in the US. These economics, they also don't account for the cost of buying or installing an EV charger, which can range from a couple $100s to a few $1,000s, depending on the type of charger and the existing electrical panel capacity at your home. All right, so we talked about a sedan example. Let's look at some illustrative economics of light duty trucks. You've got the Ford F-150 here. Base MSRP for the EV, the Lightning, is about $400 more expensive than the gasoline alternative. But annual fuel and maintenance cost savings is about $3,700 a year. So it really pays itself back in the first year. And I also want to call out the source for this analysis is the DOE, the US Department of Energy's Alternative Fuels Data Center. They have a really great vehicle cost calculator with all the different vehicle makes and models. And you can do this cost comparison using your individual state's average electricity costs. So really helpful tool if you're looking to do this analysis for an electric vehicle. So even without subsidies, you can see that the economics of converting to an EV can be compelling. But let's talk about these subsidies, these tax credits that can make the economics even more attractive. So you can get up to a $7,500 tax credit for a new electric vehicle and up to $4,000 tax credit for a used electric vehicle. It's important to understand the eligibility requirements of these tax credits, both of the vehicle itself and of the person receiving the tax credit. I want to give you fair warning, this next slide is a bit wordy, but it's really meant to be for your reference on these eligibility requirements. So this provides information on the new clean vehicle tax credit that's also known as the Section 30D tax credit. It's available for fully electric vehicles, not hybrids, but fully electric, as well as for fuel cell electric vehicles. So there are MSRP limits as well as domestic content requirements for the vehicle. And there are also income limits for the person or the family claiming the tax credit, which is described in more detail on this slide. In addition, as I mentioned earlier, as of January 1st, 2024, the buyer of a vehicle can transfer the credit to the dealer to help monetize the benefits of the tax credit. For example, if the buyer doesn't have sufficient taxable income. There's also the used clean vehicle tax credit, the Section 25E tax credit that provides up to a $4,000 credit. Like the 30D tax credit, it has income and MSRP limits, but it doesn't have domestic content requirements. A really important thing to remember with both the new and the used clean vehicle tax credits is that to be eligible for the tax credit, the seller, i.e. the dealer, has to register your vehicle online with the IRS and report information to the IRS for your vehicle at the time of sale. So don't leave the dealer without proof of this online registration. Really important. All right, in terms of the EV charger, if you're located in a low income or non-urban census tract, then you're also eligible for a tax credit for the EV charger of up to $1,000. in order to figure out whether or not you're located in a low income or non-urban census tract, you can use the DOE mapping tool that's linked to here. I've also got a screenshot of Clark County to give you a sense that there's a lot of census tracts within Clark County that qualify. All right, so that was the electric vehicle tax credit. Let's talk about the energy efficient home improvement tax credit, or the Section 25C credit. This credit, it allows residents to claim up to $1,200 each year for measures such as weatherization, insulation, and energy audits. And in addition, residents can claim another $2,000 for a heat pump air conditioner or heat pump water heater. And there's actually a great website on the Energy Star website that details which specific products will qualify for these tax credits. So that's a great resource because not all heat pumps necessarily qualify. They have to meet minimum efficiency standards and whatnot. With the 25C tax credit, it's a bit challenging. If you don't have the tax liability to monetize these, there aren't any transferability mechanisms. Lease option would be a little challenging as well. So if you don't have taxable income, though, this really brings us to the federal home energy rebates, where unlike the tax credits, you don't need a tax liability to monetize these. However, also unlike the tax credits, these aren't available quite yet, but they'll become available sometime in 2025. In Nevada, the Governor's Office of Energy is administering these rebates. And once they do become available, income qualifying residents will be able to get up to $14,000 in equipment-based rebates for electrification measures like heat pumps and induction cooktops. So that's the table that you see over here, these electrification rebates. There's also efficiency-based rebates that provide rebates for efficiency retrofits in homes that can provide up to $8,000 per home that achieves energy savings of 35% or more. That $8,000 amount is income qualifying, but it's also available for non-income qualifying residents at a lower rebate amount at up to $4,000. So these tax credits and rebates are great, but they're likely not going to cover the full cost of your clean energy measure. And that's why the Nevada Clean Energy Fund developed an accessible and affordable financing option as part of our residential energy upgrade program, or REUP. You can see some of the basic terms here. We're also working to access more capital that could help us bring down interest rates or extend the term of these loans. But importantly, our program doesn't use credit score to determine eligibility for a loan. It instead looks at ability to repay, which helps unlock access to capital for low and moderate income residents who might not otherwise be able to because of poor or low credit. So let's look at a couple of examples of projects. Let's say you need to replace your air conditioning or heating unit. You could replace it with a ductless heat pump at a cost of about $10,000. But you could get a $1,600 ND Energy rebate for that heat pump, and that's not income qualifying. The rebate amount for an income qualifying resident is higher. On top of that, you could get a $2,000 federal tax credit from the Section 25C tax credit, and then you can cover the remainder with a re-up loan. Same exercise for rooftop solar. Let's say you have a $20,000 rooftop solar system, a project that has the potential to significantly reduce your utility bill. You could get a $6,000 federal tax credit and then pair it with a re-up loan. But because of the Solar for All program that I mentioned earlier that we're working to launch, soon we're going to be able to stack another rebate on top of the tax credit and financing that we have available to make this even more attractive and feasible, particularly for low-income residents. All right, so just to wrap up, a few final thoughts. Clean energy measures, they can help you save money on your utility bills, even without subsidies. But federal tax credits for EVs and home energy upgrades can make that even more attractive, and they're available now. Residents generally need to have a tax liability, in other words, taxable income, to access the benefits of tax credits, at least directly. Although, as we talked about, there are some transferability mechanisms that can help you get around that in some instances. NB Energy also has utility rebates available, both income qualifying and not income qualifying, that you can braid in with tax credits and other sources of financing. And there are forthcoming federal electrification efficiency and solar rebates that are largely income qualifying that are going to be available beginning in 2025. So check out our website for more information. Reach out to us with questions. We're here to help you navigate this process. All right. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Olivia for Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kirsten, for sharing all about the different tax credits, incentives available, the benefits, and I really enjoyed the Nevada top 10 improvement list. And I do see that if there's a question, if you have a printout of that list anywhere.
Yeah, that's from NREL ResStock. I can share the link to that resource, the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, and I can also share my slides. The ResStock tool is a really amazing tool that allows you to zero in on different regions, and in this case, the state of Nevada, to identify the energy savings of implementing various measures.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll get that link for you, and we'll post that in the chat and with the recording. Awesome. So we'll wait for some more questions to come in. I'm just going to go over a few of our upcoming events while the audience thinks of some more questions for us. All right, we have the allinclarkcounty.com/events to go register for any of our upcoming events. You're probably viewing on the event page right now, so you would just be able to scroll down after this presentation to register for any of the upcoming ones. Especially if you want a deeper dive into tax credits. Kirsten covered it amazingly. And then we have the IRS covering it again on Wednesday, June 5th. So if you want to, again, dive deeper to share and learn more information about how to claim these credits on your tax return, or if you know somebody who would benefit from these webinars, please share them. And then starting in June is the All In Summer Series, which is 8 different presentations focused on sustainability and climate topics. Some of these are in person at a library or a community center, and some of them are virtual. Again, you can register on allinclarkcounty.com/events for any of these. If you're interested in learning more about what the City of Henderson or the Southern Nevada Water Authority or the Desert Conservation Program is doing, we would love to see you at any of these events. Awesome. Now we will go over the questions for today's presentation. We had a question before the presentation began, if the heat pump is the same thing as an air conditioner.
Well, a heat pump can replace an air conditioner. Heat pump can serve as an air conditioning unit as well as a heating unit. Heat pumps can also be water heaters. So you could have a heat pump HVAC unit, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, or you could have a heat pump water heater. And both are eligible for tax credits and rebates.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Is there a way to get an audit done on my house to let me know which appliances I need replaced and if I'm eligible for any incentives?
Yes, absolutely. Getting an energy audit done in your house we highly recommend it. There are a couple different incentive options. So federal tax credits, the 25C federal tax credit provides up to $150 to cover the cost of an energy audit. In addition, we're working with the Nevada Governor's Office of Energy to launch an energy audit incentive program for homeowners for homes as well. And then NV Energy also has a home energy assessment. They provide free home energy assessments, both virtual and in person, that folks in NV Energy service territory can take advantage of. I also want to call out, we have an amazing energy auditor and energy audit trainer, Les Lazarek, who serves on the Nevada Clean Energy Fund's board, who is an energy audit guru. So we love energy audits at the Nevada Clean Energy Fund.
Right. We have some follow-up questions similar to that one. Does the homeowner replace the appliances or a contractor through NCF that replaces the appliances if they wanted to participate in the re-up program?
Yeah, so contractors have to be vetted through our program in order to be eligible for our financing. But we're happy to, if you have a contractor that you work with, we're happy to vet that contractor. Um, in terms of like other incentive programs, like the federal tax credits, it doesn't matter. Uh, but for NV Energy, for example, their heat pump or HVAC rebate programs, you do have to use one of their certified contractors in order to access those rebates.
Thank you for explaining that. The last question we have today is, how do I talk to my landlord about electrification?
Ooh, um, that's a great question. I mean, I think uh, it depends on your relationship with your landlord, but certainly bringing them the information about the resources that are available to electrify is great, and definitely please use our resources as you see fit. We do work with affordable multifamily housing developers as well and provide financing directly to multifamily property owners to make electrification and efficiency upgrades in the buildings that they operate. So we can also be a resource there directly to landlords as well.
Great. Well, that is all for today's questions. So this will be the end of the presentation. Thank you all for joining and taking the opportunity to learn more about the Nevada Clean Energy Fund and the available incentives and tax credits. And a last thank you so much to Kirsten for sharing all these resources with us.